news is I talked to a judge, and it says it's very, very hard to enforce it, noise ordinance.
It is. However, once we get the ordinance complete, I told Don Hilton that I would email it to him. He in turn would take a look at it, pass it on to the county attorney. And he just reminded us that, there'll be times when they can't respond, like Saturday night when they're all over the place.
Yep.
So he said, you know, you might have to wait until a Tuesday or something.
Well, if people would stop breaking into my building,
Again?
then they would be able to do whatever they had to do.
Well, believe it or not, there's more crime than just at your place.
Not yet,
Oh.
just twice so far.
Well, don't take it. No more.
They're not gonna make it out alive this time. I told my ex to be here, so if I call you one night, people can say whatever they want. Yep.
You just gotta get yourself a big ass Rottweiler and keep them in there.
Let's
We
see.
have
I think you're getting out.
American Bulldog.
Melissa said
Bad
that,
back legs.
It's a real bad
If I
one.
put her underneath during the day, the concrete just, it's terrible. Terrible.
In the store, we used to have a German Shepherd boxer mix, and never been a salesman, never been a delivery guy, but he went out back to take a leak, he was out there on a chain and he'd nail you.
Well, he ain't supposed to be out there.
Yeah, you knew the drivers never bothered a delivery guy.
I own Chesapeake Bay Retrievers for quite a while. And they only do two
4
things,
Retrieve,
retrieve and guard the boats and decoy.
yeah.
They think the house is a boat, and they think kids are decoy. They believe in family and that's it.
You need a guinea hen?
Huh?
You need a guinea hen?
No.
Cause we're gonna shoot that thing too.
Mike, was that
Is that
your
a
fault?
hacker in the paper?
What's that?
I gotta save up.
Look like you're in the paper.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's John Ives'
Since
their house so long now.
1976. I'm like, wow.
Oh, wow.
I was just curious
It
if
was
you
5 days before I made him come up and look
because
for
we
it.
live in
And
Vermillion.
it's been probably
Yeah.
like 5 since then.
I just-
Probably
Oh,
10
you do?
days.
It broke through the window in our barn, cause I tried to trap it in there.
Okay.
and it
We live on
ripped
Darrow
the
Road.
window. I thought it was dead, no, it's not dead.
I go that way.
at the last meeting, Fred, did you go any farther on anything?
No, basically, okay, again, the only people I contacted was Pat. The meeting was posted, obviously nobody looked at it. So, anyways, we discussed, okay, one of the things we discussed was how neighbors work together. Because everybody has neighbors that's in this room.
At the meeting that was posted the day before,
No, it was posted 3 days.
Thursday, and it was
Because, because John didn't get to it.
Yep.
Okay, so all my notes,
Do you wanna start?
you get going.
You wanna
2,
wait?
3, yeah.
Wait,
Or
or
anybody else is time to know if anybody
No,
else
as I
is
said, everybody complains to me, but nobody wants to do nothing about it.
That's what I told 3 of them that I've seen. I was like, why don't you all get together?
Yeah.
You come. Buy that damn guinea hen. Yes. It belongs to Ives's.
All right, let's call the meeting to order. Last time we all got together, okay, I can't remember what page we left off, but things that we crossed off, so I think we're past that section. Anybody else have any idea what we left off? Now we're looking at sections.
Section 3, page 3.
Page 3, oh, I got the noise levels crossed off on my sheet.
Oh,
So that was section 5.
okay.
So up until that point, we're pretty much, I think we've already pretty much covered like the outdoor. We got D, the outdoor electrical equipment, power tools, construction activities. I think we already went through that. Parties, social events, and places of public authority.
Yep, we did that.
We did that. Okay, so number 2 of that was, no person in charge of a party or other social event shall permit the party or event to produce an unreasonable noise in a loud, annoying, or offensive manner that would interfere with the comfort, response, and safety of the public within a building or neighbors. So that was pretty much what we're looking for right there. Number 3, it said no person shall conduct a party or gathering that would generate an unreasonable noise across real property boundaries that would be deemed offensive or interfere with the quiet comfort of the neighbors during nighttime hours. And I think we established the nighttime hours as 10 a.m., 10 p.m., right? Yeah.
10 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Yeah, okay, so we know what the nighttime hours are, okay. All right, we took off number 5, because nobody really knows decibels as far as noise. So we're gonna take that section right out. Section 6, okay, so this is where we start. Local law shall not apply to the following: emergency vehicles or activities, of course, publicly sponsored events approved by the municipality, and the snow removal equipment or activities of the town or county DPW. Any other questions on that? And we should,
No, I think there's a few more things.
Yes, there is.
The sounds created by crop cultivation, production, harvesting, and livestock production. I know, for instance, okay, Mr. Veely was here at one of our meetings. He's in the apple business. And a lot of times, they go ahead and they spray at night. And the major reason for spraying at night is the winds are calm. Therefore, okay, they have a much more successful endeavor.
okay, I can see where that would, find that sheet.
139.
Here we go. 139?
Some of the other things, sounds created by church bells or chimes. We don't have any that are functioning now, but we used to have.
Well, I think a church bell is going to be during the hours 7 a.m. or 7 to 10.
Unless it's a midnight service.
Yeah,
They don't chime all night long? I'm
Pardon?
not sure, does like Mexico's church, or this one's
I
church
think
like
the
every hour?
I think the clock in Mexico may ding every hour.
I'm not sure.
But a
about
church bell, I don't think they do.
Boy, aren't we full of knowledge? None of us know.
Well, they did once upon a time, but don't get me lying to you.
Unknown at this time.
Well, like I said, though, the thing it is, you can understand people that have farms and things like that have to do this for a living. This is just for entertainment that I'm complaining about. And it's like, people have to do their work for a living, but this isn't a living, it's just for entertainment
Why we have to
purposes.
make sure we put in all the exceptions so that there's not a complaint about
Okay, so
somebody that has to,
we're gonna add that to it, right?
yes.
Sounds
No,
created
no.
by crop cultivation.
That's really not even entertainment with them, but that's what they try.
What's that?
Could we just say farming equipment and,
Sure. But I think also it should, fill in there with lawnmowers as long as the functioning mufflers are on it.
That's
Good working
C.
order.
That's
Yes.
C.
One of the other things, usually government excuses themselves from obeying laws and agencies, and that would include the state of New York, the federal government, and any local government. That's pretty common, okay? You know, if the state of New York decides to shut down something, they might do it noisily.
So the bottom of C. You wanna add it like that. Sounds created by lawnmowers with functioning mufflers and in good working
Yeah, I
order
would say,
and home power tools in good working order in use between the hours of 7 AM and 8 PM with
Right.
these hours.
and I think I changed 8 AM on Saturdays, 8 AM to 8 AM, Saturdays and holidays.
are we doing like emergency storms? Are we doing something like that? Like if you need to clear your driveway?
I thought we did that was
Reasonable.
right, did we cover that already?
I think we might also want to add, lawful noise created by hunting or shooting range, because hunting as defined by the DEC.
We did that over here
Yeah,
already,
and we did that
on the
in,
second page.
page two,
After the
the other one.
Under exception for DEC?
Yeah.
Okay.
And reasonable farming and agricultural noises, we put in there too. That was the reasonable part.
Okay,
Now, are businesses covered under that?
Pardon?
Are businesses covered under, they're allowed to do, cause you gave Circle T, they can start at 5 o'clock. And they can ancillary, which, all sorts of stuff for
right,
that,
I think,
And they
I
can
think
s-
that was already given them the exemption for it.
but that's gonna be covered under here?
No, because we've already given it to them. So it's already grandfathered in for them, so. That's, to me, that's the way I would look at it, but I think it'd be up to the town board to actually decide that.
Well, I don't know, I can't speak for the entire board, but, I know that there was an agreement that was made, and that agreement has since changed, but we decided to, that was done in what, Supreme Court?
Yes,
But
Yeah.
we decided to change
we
it.
did change it, and we gave them leeway because of, the start time for warming up the trucks during the fall and winter months.
About 18.
Do the noise levels still stand for that?
As far as what, how do you want?
They were supposed to abide by certain noise levels that they had
Yes, well,
they had a
we've
check
already-
done,
We've
and
already established that the noise that they make, okay, was reasonable as far as, decibels, because of the study that was done, okay? So,
Was that done with the new silo in place or the old silo in place?
that was done before the new silo was put in place.
It's actually better now because they enclosed part of the stuff.
Right,
It's actually,
it should be probably
it
closed a
should
little
be
bit more.
better now.
The biggest hassle was, from my understanding, was that the, starting the trucks and warming them up. Diesel's gotta start a little early, warm them up,
You know,
and at first we originally gave them 6 o'clock start time, and we moved it to, I think,
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock ancillary.
Right.
The original time was 7 o'clock, but they complained that they were getting too many noise complaints, so we wanna move it back to 6 o'clock so nobody can complain. That was what Jason Simmons said, so,
Right.
including our laws saying that they couldn't, so we had to let it up.
But I guess what I'm asking, Mike, is here forward with that, they still have to abide by the noise levels that they, so if the noise levels change, they can be in violation, correct?
Making noises
In other
before
words,
ramp.
instead of three.
No, I mean the
Without
actual,
legal-
I mean,
Without legal
no
representation, I
justification.
can't answer that question.
okay,
That would be something that the lawyer would have to answer, so. But I would have to say that whatever was done prior to this agreement would be in, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Grandfather.
Yeah,
I'm,
Well, the thing is, okay, I know some of us have been around diesel before, and 3 diesels make a lot of noise. 6 diesels make more noise. Now, what is that noise level? Don't get me lying to you. The only way you know is to run a test while it's being done. And again, anyone that does these tests
They did a
has to
test
be
while it was
licensed
being
and
done.
certified.
They already did that. They did it.
the tests were done
Right.
with it running,
No.
the plant running and the diesel truck.
whatever.
So, yeah, sound created by snow removal equipment in good working order. Alright.
Yep.
Last one.
But what if that's all? What if something reported that?
What if you just have a crappy snow blower?
Huh?
What if you just have a crappy
That's
snow
what,
blower?
that's what this says.
Yeah.
That's why I'm reading it. so
Oh,
we
okay,
don't
I thought,
change
okay.
it. Are we changing things or are we putting
Oh.
it in there?
Well, I think,
It's, 139.
I think most snow blowers would have, at least have a muffler on it.
That's what we're reading.
Okay, and that would fall under the category of, same thing with a lawnmower. You know,
Yeah,
if you're running a snow blower without a muffler in it.
the other thing you get into, depending upon the amount of snow, some people hire people to come in and plow.
Yep.
In other instances, a local farmer, for the sake of argument, with a tractor and a bucket, comes and moves snow for himself or his neighbors or whatever. So, there's a whole bunch of variables there. The bottom line is,
It
it snows
says
here.
sounds created by snow removal equipment. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
It's snow removal equipment.
Right.
Doesn't matter if you're using a tractor, a snow blower, if it's your neighbor, you, or a farmer, no matter. Everybody's, it's the same thing.
Okay, so why don't we do this? So let's go with, all these exemptions, right?
A through I.
Yeah, A through I is part of our, plan, okay? And the only change we're gonna have is the, Saturday morning lawn mowing.
For C.
I mean, I was a young kid and the neighbor would be out there at 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, you're 18 years old and he's out there Sunday morning mowing his lawn.
What's even better is to have a 2-year-old and, motorcycles with no, baffles in the muffler
Yeah,
next door.
So,
Okay.
for you guys who don't have a copy of this, it's, A says sounds created by church bells or chimes, B, sounds created by any government agency or its agents, including but not limited to the use of an emergency warning device or authorized emergency vehicle. C is sounds created by lawnmowers with functioning mufflers in good working order, and home power tools in good working order in use between the hours of 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. on weekdays, and Saturdays and Sundays and holidays, it says 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Change anything, leave anything on those first
no,
three?
I think that's all right.
What do you got in D?
How about jackhammering?
That's a tool.
Oh,
It's a power tool.
Yeah, it's a power
as
tool.
long as it's in good working order.
Right.
But how do you know?
Sounds
And you're not
created by
hammering on metal,
public
jackhammering on
utilities
metal.
carrying out the operations of their franchise, E is sounds connected to sporting events of private or public school or an authorized carnival, fair, exhibition, parade, authorized by permit of the town board. F, the sounds created by crop cultivation, producing, harvesting, and livestock production. G, sounds created by safety and protective devices used for their intended purpose. H, sounds created by snow removal equipment in good working order. I is huge. Sounds which are authorized as exempt from this chapter by resolution of the town board because said noise, although otherwise causing unreasonable noise, is part of a public works project or the general health, safety, and welfare of the citizenry of the town is concerned. Now, with them three on there, right, are they different?
No, they're pretty much,
I think
this
you
just
need,
goes into more detail.
I think you need to add, like, not just for snow blowing, but the storm rolls through, is that on there? I can't. So say
Well,
a tree falls down or something across your driveway, and you need to get out at 2 o'clock in the morning, you need to be out there. It's not just for snow, you can look for storms or emergency purposes. Get it off your house, out of your driveway.
I thought that was covered under something else.
That's what I was just looking at.
I thought we did something like that
So
earlier.
maybe I think it's on page 2.
I think we did the last.
Causing and whether such sound is temporary or repeated, whether it's normal part of the business or if the noise is unusual. Hunting exempt per DEC regulations, reasonable farming and agricultural noises. That's an act of God, that's all.
Yeah. So how do we wanna word that?
Isn't that called a natural disaster, an act of God?
Pretty much.
Alright, Joy, how shall we word it? Anyone?
There you go.
Well, which is acts of God. Natural disasters. Natural disaster.
Yeah.
Emergency, public disaster, or exposure of any person or property to imminent danger, or
There
I
was,
was reading this one,
if you go to the next page on this one, there is a J on there. And that would probably fall under that category.
Yeah, because basically,
So it says
You
sounds
can-
which are authorized as exempt from this chapter by resolution of the town board because said noise, although otherwise causing unreasonable noise, would be generated from a non-public works project where the town board, for good cause shown, has determined that such waiver would be protective of the general health, safety, and welfare of the citizenry of the town. However, should noise become a problem, the town board may rescind or modify the waiver. That doesn't cover it, because you have to get a waiver first.
So,
if there simply, something like that is usually there when you're creating a list of causes and effects, simply because we don't know all the causes and effects. And if there has to be a change, the town board would be the ones that would issue the waiver for that particular entity.
Yeah, that's not gonna work.
yeah, so we're,
Not gonna have to get a waiver. Nope.
so
Activity necessary for
How are we gonna
emergency.
word this. If we,
Work activity that is-
sounds which are authorized as exempt would fall under the category of act of God, such as tree removal, emergency tree removal,
Natural disasters.
disasters. Yeah.
Natural.
Natural.
Okay,
No, it's a disaster, because what if a nuclear plant, you know? It's not natural.
that happens, in case you're asking about it. So,
Anyway,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, I'm not gonna worry about it.
Just try to remember where your iodine pills are.
yeah.
And check the wind. It's blowing north.
storm removal, like,
such as storm
Yeah,
removal.
storm
Emergency
removal.
work over here. What activities necessary to prevent or recover from an emergency. There's all different ways to do it, Mike.
Yeah,
It's all you, buddy.
so what do you think? You got that written down? Aren't you the secretary?
That thing's recording on its own.
Yeah, okay, I think we have pretty reasonable, what we're looking for. I mean, we're gonna go through, we could put 1 through J on, and then we'll do another one for, active God and disaster.
It's real tough to find God.
Yeah,
It's tough to define a disaster too.
yeah.
No,
I
fine,
think
F-I-N-E.
disaster is
Send him a bill.
tree removal, across the road, across the driveway, you know. I think that's the biggest concern.
That people have when it falls in their lawn and say, I had to clean it up.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's different if it's on your roof or on your car and you gotta go to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had 2 trees thrown at my house in the past 5 years. And I really like my neighbor who owned the trees.
okay, so then we'll go on to,
How about, how about cleanup or removal
Storm debris.
of acts of God or disaster?
okay,
Is that something that sounds good?
Yeah, cause then the board's gonna look at it and they can reword it if they need to. Or Rebecca will help them reword it. This is if they put it all through, cause it's up to them whether this all goes through or not. No one person on the board can decide, it's gonna be the
yeah,
whole group.
I asked the other night, and I talked to a couple people. I said, you know, once we get the noise ordinance done, I wasn't gonna really, I'm gonna give it to the board and have them, whether they wanna approve it or not. But I was gonna say, do we really need to do this? Do we really need to get this approved? Can we go to these people that we're having a problem with and say, hey, we got a noise ordinance ready to go? But it was brought up that, are we, threatening these people by doing that? So at that point, I said, no, maybe we'll just give it to the board and let them do what they gotta do with it,
Yeah,
one way or another. Because we definitely don't wanna have a lawsuit saying, well, you threatened us,
Right.
you know.
Well, on top of that, okay, you cannot anticipate that this is the only occurrence that'll ever occur in the
Yes,
town of New
it's true.
Haven.
I like the variance on there, see that one?
Yeah, okay, so number 7, it says a variance. The town council, upon submission of a request, can grant a limited variance of this local law. Which means if somebody was having a party, they wanna have fireworks afterwards, graduation, gonna start at 10 o'clock at night. If they came to the town council ahead of time, they could, give a limited variance on that. Okay, section 8 was enforcement. This local law may be enforced by law enforcement agencies or the, town code enforcement officer. It's pretty
Well-
basic.
I think if that's the case, I think you should include the dog control officer. If
The
that's what
town
they're
code
doing.
enforcement officer has to come off there,
Yeah,
Cause he's not,
because he has really no authority.
right. He has no authority, and putting him in a potential domestic situation,
That's
is-
what I told you in 3 meetings when you kept saying he could do it, and I'm like, you can't do that, Brett.
Okay,
You can't put him in that situation.
excuse me,
Yep. Mm-hmm. I said,
all right, so we're gonna leave it as local law may be enforced by law enforcement agencies. Okay, now comes down to penalties, section 9.
Well, when you say local law, if the sheriff's not available, can you call the state police? Does it matter which?
I believe you can call any law enforcement agency that would come.
Well, when you call 911, we're in the sheriff's department,
Right.
sheriff's area, but other places in town are in the state police area, so but you can call them individually.
Right,
You just said local, okay,
yeah, it's all local.
okay,
As far as I'm concerned, state police are local,
okay.
right?
Yep.
Whether they would come or not, I don't know, so, that's, but once you put in a complaint, I think sometime they have to follow, sometime they have to
They
follow
did,
up on it, right?
believe me,
Yeah,
the sheriff anyways.
well, we didn't have a noise ordinance then either, so. Penalties in section 9. This reads, any person who violates any provisions of the local law shall be guilty of an offense and shall upon conviction be subject to a fine of not less than $100 or more than $500 for the first offense. The penalty for a second or subsequent offenses shall be not less than $500 or more than $1,000 or imprisonment for a period of 15 days. So that's on conviction, okay? So shall be not less than $500 or more than $1,000 or imprisonment for a period of 15 days. So that's on conviction, okay? So that would have to go in front of the judge.
Or both fine and imprisonment.
Right. So I think by putting a penalty on there and having that penalty, once it goes in front of the sheriff or a law enforcement agency, now it's a fine. So that, I mean, that's something that could really affect some people, you know?
Well, I think the big kahuna is the last sentence. Each day such violation is permitted. Okay, to continue after notification of violation shall constitute a separate offense and be punishable as such.
Right.
So,
Okay, I didn't write the last sentence.
that,
Yeah. Any other questions on that? Do you think $100 fine for the first time and up to 500?
I think maybe 100 to 250 for the first, and then maybe.
Oh, I'll tell ya, if it was me, I'd charge him $1,000 the first time.
You asked her, she told you.
So the second time they get told
So
they
the
can
first
go to
time-
jail?
The first time it's $100 or up to $250. The second time of the offense, okay, it's $500 or up to $1,000 or imprisonment for a period of 15 days.
So if you can't
Or
pay.
both, or
Yeah,
both such
that's-
fine and imprisonment.
I think the
That's
third,
up to the judge.
maybe the
If it
third
says
time,
Up
third
to
time prison.
15 days, that means you could spend 24 hours in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right now, it's tough to get anybody in jail anyways.
Yeah.
Let's say your second.
Unless it's
Possibly
a
sheriff, yep.
violent enough crime, right? Unless you actually murder someone, a lot of times you don't.
The way things are now.
Used to- used to-
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So for the second offense, we're gonna do no less than, instead of 500, we're gonna go no less than 250. And no more than, should we go 500 or drop it down?
500. I think that's good.
I'd say 500 also.
Yep.
You think the 15 days is too much?
I think
I
jail
think-
time is just putting pressure on the court too, because what if 15 people complain the first week, then you got 15 people in front of the judge here?
Right.
Maybe the third time, third complaint,
The other thing.
third
is-
noted violation.
Yeah.
In
Well, it says here that
additional.
It
says or.
each day of such violation is permitted to continue after notification of the violation shall constitute a separate offense and shall be punishable as such. So, sheriff goes there and say, hey, we're notifying you that you're in violation. If you keep this up, every day that you keep this up is a separate violation. And each one is a $100 fine, could be at least $100 fine. So,
And if they don't learn from the third time, they should go to jail.
again, that's up to the judge.
Right, exactly.
Somehow, one of the things we might want to address is frivolous complaints. Okay? Joy was making far too much noise the other night when I drove by in my car at 70. So, I want to make a complaint.
How do you wanna word that?
Very simply, okay, frivolous.
I thought we already covered that.
So they get fined for being frivolous.
Cause what if there's no noise when the police get there? Can you have a recording of it? And will that stand?
I know, or these,
Yeah, cause they can say, when was this,
yeah.
you can't prove. The police usually have to see it.
Very hard to
Very, very hard.
enforce.
I've never heard of someone showing up in the violation not being there.
Simple, okay, frivolous complaints will not be tolerated and will be treated as violations.
Yeah,
Sounds
gotta
good.
work both ways, I guess.
Yep.
Because, you know, I mean, I'm not saying that anybody would, but there's always an odd one in the wood pile, you know? Who comes out and says, well, I don't like Mike Cadoli.
Well, yeah, there's some odd ones, all right.
But
See, yeah,
sometimes,
like if they say too, like, oh, your first offense, oh, it's $100. Then the second, oh, another 100. A lot of people would say, oh, I knew for 100, I don't care, you know?
Exactly.
So that's such a good thing. It goes up every time we get. you
Well,
know,
every time, once they're notified, then it's $100 this time. It could be the next day they're doing $100.
Yeah.
If they do it every night for a week, that's $700.
Yeah.
At least $700. After 3 days, the judge can say, well, that's $250 now. So, I mean, it's,
You know, and an example of a frivolous offense, okay, or a frivolous, report, if you will, okay, the people that live across from these two people right here, and say, well, they report me, he was parking his truck last night after 10 o'clock. You know? So, I mean, that can happen, you know?
it's also very subjective. What if someone just, you know, it's 9:59 and they park their truck? You know, frivolous complaints, that's gonna be very subjective. Who's gonna decide whether it's frivolous or not?
And whether it's true or not.
Exactly, it's subjective.
Well, at
It's
least
hard.
if it's in there, it might discourage people from attempting that.
Now, are they gonna give people a warning first, or does it go right to first offense a fine?
as far as the noise or
Yeah.
the,
Yeah, the noise, not,
I think,
I think it's-
we should have a warning first offense.
cause this
So
is a
maybe
new,
it'll
this is
stop.
new,
Just a warning.
this is a new ordinance, so,
And then the second warning
People
can be
aren't
the
gonna know.
250.
What's that?
Ones that don't.
Yeah.
Right.
so
sounds like yours is gonna be
penalties.
warned the first day the ordinance goes in. So the next day,
It's gonna happen real quick.
Yeah. Really.
So, under penalties, we probably should, put it as, first offense would be a warning.
Yeah. 'Cause then at least now they know. Don't
Yeah.
forget.
First offense within what time period? What time
And
period
then
you
we're not
doing?
giving
Are you giving them a first
That's
warning
like, here's your
in
rules.
2024
excuse
and
now.
then
Yeah, really.
their second one is in 2037?
No, I just say,
Or do they
once
get
they get
another
one,
first warning
I think they get a first warning and that's it. But I
13
think-
years later if they're
I also
following
think
along?
that,
well, we could be senile by then, and for us, it's the first warning.
By that time, we're all running down the side of the road in our pajamas, we don't know what's going on.
A lot of labor contracts, okay, they have basically a first, second, and third strike. And usually the time period they list is 9 months.
Within a 9-month.
CSEA does,
There should be like a time
Okay.
period, even if it's 3-year time period or something. Cause, you know, when you get like
3 years.
of an age when you just babble most of the time and nobody, you know, Then you're running down the road in your pajamas
We're
babbling,
getting-
nobody
we're
wants to hear you.
We're getting close.
You know, if this is done in time, I suggest you post it on the,
Basically,
I suggest you post it on the front door before the election, because there's gonna be a lot of people voting. So a
You
lot
mean
of people-
about new noise ordinance?
On the front door, so the
Well, I
ordinance is,
think
a lot of people
one
will
of
see
my
that.
feelings are that if we're gonna give you a warning, okay, we're gonna come there and we're gonna hand you this paper.
Yep.
There it is. This is what we have. This is what you have to abide by. This is your warning, okay? So if we have to come back here again, now you fall under the categories of penalties,
Right, I agree.
you know? But if it's the sheriff that's gonna be doing this, or a police officer that's gonna be doing this, they're not gonna have this. But once the police officer goes there, okay, we find out that they're in violation, then that's when we give them this. We give you the warning, somebody will go there and say, okay, this is what we have right here. Next time, it's
I
a
would, I
penalty.
would send it to him, I wouldn't go there.
Yeah, I'd send it to
You're talking about that guinea hen again. How angry the people are
Oh
gonna
man,
be.
he needs to come and get that thing, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I would, so tell them it's on the website, cause it'll be posted on the website,
Yep,
and
I'm gonna do a video.
Send him a
of that
copy.
and put it on the.
Sure.
Tom, the town, send
Come
a
get
copy
the guinea
of
hen.
okay, yeah, the town could send you a copy. Do we need to put that in there?
So we got first warning,
First warning,
second is 100 to 250.
Yep.
And third is 250 and whatever the judge thinks.
yeah, 250 or up to 500, and whatever the judge thinks.
one thing that we might add as an addendum, okay, which would, I can see the time coming when you may not be able to get an adequate response from the sheriff within a longer period of time.
So what do you
The
do in
option-
that
The option
situation?
is to hire a constable who can do service, okay? However, okay, you have to pay him. He's not quite the public servant that
The
a sheriff
insurance
is.
alone is ridiculous for that, so.
But if we do that, okay, we'd wanna, as an addendum, if it comes to that we will charge the person who is being served for the services of the constable. Now, I'm not anticipating that will happen,
If
and I'm
that
not
happens
anticipating,
and someone is hired to do that job, it can be added in at that point.
well, they're talking about establishing a constabulary anyway, so that would be covered under that, correct?
right,
Yeah, but the only problem with that was you would have to have ones working different hours, cause they're
And they
not
don't-
gonna be on call 24/7.
And they
right,
don't live in town.
right.
That's
It's,
why
it's gonna be the same as the sheriff, you know, just because somebody calls at 11:30 at night, 11:45, somebody's gonna be knocking on these people's doors. This just doesn't, it's not gonna work that quick.
It's not always gonna be as slow as you think. I deal a lot with law enforcement, so.
You know?
That doesn't
everything's
sound
not
good.
as delayed as you think it is.
Yeah, but it depends on what you're calling them for.
Yours is,
Some are, you better get over here.
I have a lot of my relatives are in law enforcement.
Give me the
It's,
name and number.
it's not as slow as you think.
not slow because they're, just twiddling their thumbs, but they're busy.
A couple of mine are in Syracuse area, so they're a lot busier there than here. They still have plenty of time. So,
Yeah, I know one or two too.
Section 10,
Okay. Should any portion whatsoever of this local law be held invalid or unenforceable for any reason by any court of competent
Jurisdiction.
jurisdiction, such portion shall be deemed severable, severable,
Seven.
That's okay, it's
it's
small
like
writing.
but only to the extent of such holdings, and such holdings shall not affect the remaining portions thereof.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
In other words, one section goes south, that doesn't mean the whole thing's no good.
Local law shall take in-
effective date. I guess you have to file this with the Department of the State.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So local
yeah.
law should take effect immediately upon filing with the Department of State. Okay. That's pretty much,
Anything more, anything less?
so,
Anything more, anything less?
somebody gonna wanna take this up? Using this form, we can pretty much do it.
Let's take it easy there. 139.
Well, it has to be submitted to the town
There
board,
might be a
right?
template someplace,
Yeah,
Yeah, we just gotta type it up, get it to the town board, enough copies for them.
Does there have to be a public hearing on this, Fred?
pardon?
Does there have to be a public hearing on this?
Oh, probably. There is on every other local law.
Yeah, we're gonna, we'll give it to them and then they'll do the whole everything. Cause they have to review everything, make any changes, find out what the public thinks.
That's when you tell your friends to come. If they're gonna come from anything, come to the public hearing because they can speak at the public hearing.
Believe me, I try,
trust me, no.
I try.
Yep.
I'll stop by and see your nephew.
Yeah, do that one.
I-
So, I'm looking for, if we get this typed up, okay, the town board meeting is on the June 18th, correct? Is our planning board is on the 19th.
Yep.
So if we have a meeting on the 17th, is our next meeting, okay? To go over what we typed up, make sure it all looks good, should be a quick meeting, we'll read it all through, then we can turn it over to the town the next night.
I'll try, I'm gonna be having surgery on my sinuses, but I'll definitely try to make it. I might look like a raccoon, you know, but.
Is it like with the planning board, you have to submit it 10 days before the meeting though? To the
That's a
town
good
board?
question. What do you think, Fred?
To the best of my knowledge, okay,
Yeah, we should be able to get you in
the
touch.
agenda isn't made up until, a week before.
Okay,
Remind me.
So it can't be the day
Not on
before.
the calendar like
so
that.
should we,
It should be the week before then.
So move it, can we move it back
yeah,
to
let's move it to the 11th.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
I
it's
just-
1 week.
You're reading my mind.
June,
There's
I won't be
John's
on.
on vacation for 2 weeks.
I'm having surgery on
She's
the
not gonna
12th,
be back
so.
in office till the
Okay.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
not the 11th.
Yeah.
I think, law,
So I'm,
okay, I will.
I'm new at this job.
I know, I'm trying, I don't know what I'm
So,
thinking here.
you know,
I'm trying to think of what days I got.
I don't know what we can, I can get accomplished, or if someone else can type it up.
Why are you looking at me? Because I'm the only, girl,
No.
you're the chair, Mike. Cause it's like a buddy.
I'm dictating the work.
So it's gonna be June 11th on the next meeting, then, right?
Yeah, let's plan on June 11th. That way it gives us a week.
Well, they gotta check the schedule first. There
Okay.
might be something where they can't.
All right,
Yeah,
well,
we'll keep in touch. We're shooting for,
yeah,
Oh,
let me
yeah.
know if
I got your number.
I know.
we'll shoot for June 11th at 6 o'clock. And, if everything goes good that night, and that gives them a week to put it on the, calendar for, the public, or not the public hearing, but
Maybe we can find a
Town
time
board.
where
Town
we're
board.
just gonna fill it in.
The agenda.
Yeah, I won't be here because I get tested.
Oh. Yeah. Again, I don't, right now, I would not anticipate a lot of opposition from the town board.
We're just plugging in.
Is there anything already on the calendar for that time?
Don't know. Jen may have something. She always says there may be stuff that we don't know.
Both going right?
If this noise ordinance gets put in place,
So that always becomes a problem. I know a couple of times I've tried to schedule.
What was your question that you were trying to?
if this noise ordinance gets put in place, a new business comes in, such as a sawmill, will it affect, will they have to abide by this noise ordinance for
Yes.
that business?
I think any new business coming in,
Just ask.
Or can they get exemptions?
Unless,
they can get the exemption.
Because there's gonna be a lot of businesses coming
Okay.
in with Micron and new houses and
I'm just curious, Mike.
You think they're actually gonna end up going where they said they're gonna, Micron?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
because one of the contractors that was contracted to take down some houses in the area where they're building did the job and is not getting paid, they're refusing to pay.
Where they picking the spot?
It's up off 31.
That's quite a ways.
okay.
It's big, I just drove up there,
But
it's huge.
I know like all the schools,
Is that on Conway Road?
town,
It's one hour.
school district in Mexico, they're already planning
It's huge.
on the increase. Phoenix is already planning, their school district is already planning.
I'm just thinking about the businesses that are gonna come in, cause it could be just an industry dump, just more batch plants, more this, more that, all industry. And our town is left sucking it all up.
I think
they're gonna stay
once
that
the noise ordinance is in place,
I do too, they're gonna stay out that way.
any variance after that would have to go in front of the,
Soundboard.
town board.
I think if we have to keep our taxes down in this town so people can afford their houses.
Really?
It'd be nice to get more
Because-
houses and not
And
more
then
industry
you
though.
keep selling them for higher and higher. And people are losing their house, and then you're gonna start getting industry and all that stuff.
Well, one of the big sins we got there is we got a lakefront. And what's happened over the years, people come in and they buy what used to be a fish camp and build a $450,000 or $500,000 house. And that's happened several times.
Yep.
And because there's no zoning, which is a word that most people hate, but because there's no zoning, we're just classed as a mixed neighborhood. So being on Pleasant Point is the same as being on County Route 64 or Darrell Road or whatever, and it's not. Because, you know, they go back to Pleasant Point, okay, look at, you go down there and take a look at that. With the tennis court, the generator house, they actually dug a marina for their own boats. They didn't do this because they didn't have any time, to, spend with the shovel. They hired Dave Rose for
I have to look and see if there's anything.
2 years.
Army Corps of Engineers had to come in on that. He's got a lot of money, Sharky.
Yeah, well,
Got money, he invented doing it.
he invented something that, okay, he sold for umpty squat $1 million and he received a significant royalty, about $50,000 a month. Your math isn't real good. It doesn't take too long for you to get to $1 million that way. So,
But I'll try it.
I know some of the places, I live on the lake, some of the places on my road. I mean, this little place wasn't, I mean, the guy just built it. Well, it went for $300,000.
yeah,
It's like,
Oh my
whoa.
yeah.
And they paid cash,
And then that means it's so low, or it'll start
you know?
Right down the road from me that sold for 35,000 a few years ago, just sold for 99,000.
One of the battles that the former planning board had when I was on it was at the end of Shore Oak. The gentleman from Rhine, New
Oh,
York,
yeah, I know which one you're talking
Tunnel
about.
inside,
Yeah.
they changed the siding and it's dark blue and everything.
and he built a nice house, and then he laid claim to the end of the road. The town tried to fight him, and he just bought 3 lawyers up from Madison Avenue at $700 an hour each.
Is that,
When
is
they just
is
redid
this,
all
is
that.
that it for this stuff? Cause if it is, we can stop that.
Do you wanna,
Yep,
end the meeting?
yep. Let's call the meeting and